The number of days added to the sentences of prisoners in Lewes Jail almost reached 2,000 last year. That's a year-on-year increase of more than 12%. Penal reform group the Howard League says the rise can be directly related to overcrowding and staff shortages. The prison suffered a prison riot in October, and staff were part of a national prison officers' strike. The government has promised a recruitment drive and funding for more officers. 18-year-old Ben Bamford was sent to jail for a minimum of 16 years at Lewes Crown Court. Uckfield man Bamford was found guilty of the murder of senior civil servant Paul Jeffreys in Mayfield in February. The judge said Bamford killed Jeffreys in an outburst of extreme violence. British Telecom plans a cull of red phone boxes in our area, but the Sussex Heritage Trust is campaigning to keep them. BT may have a fight on its hands. Some of the boxes are listed.
Christmas is a time of celebration and plenty, but it's important to remember that for some this is not the case. Chair of Landport Residents Association, Debbie Twitchin, manages Landport Food Bank. Together with Morling Food Bank and Lewes Oyster Project, it's one of 3 food banks in the town of Lewes.
Yeah, but they won't have, they won't have that.
They won't have that, but they will have the sauce.
They'll have the sauce, yeah.
Landport Food Bank was set up in 2012 as a response to local need.
I think a lot of people are shocked that there are food banks in Lewes, but I don't think that people realise that there is a real divide in Lewes between people who have quite a lot and those who don't have very much, and that gap is widening. Like Shelter have said, you can be in a situation where you will need to use a food bank very, very quickly. It only takes for something to go horribly wrong in your life and you find yourself in a situation where you would need some extra help. There is no stigma in asking for help, and we want to try and sort of take that away. You know, I mean, we're just here to help people.
Today, FareShare are delivering essentials for the bank to give to the 11 families that have been referred this afternoon. The food bank receives donations from the public of mostly dry and canned goods. Fresh bread is supplied by our local Tesco on Sunday, and FareShare provides the rest, including fresh veg and refrigerated items.
Usually FareShare arrive around 11 o'clock. They bring us stuff which we find out what's coming usually on a Friday, and then we have to put it all away, and we have to obviously pack up the bags ready for everyone to come, and then we actually open our doors at 2 o'clock to the clients that we have. They're all referred. A lot of people come through the housing officers. We have a housing officer that works for this estate. She usually refers people from this area, but there is also a rural housing officer which refers people from Chailey, Newick, those kind of areas just outside. Because there's a real problem in those areas, people don't have a food bank of their own, so they obviously have to come in to get it, which relies on them having a car. So we have some clients who collect for others who live in that area and will distribute it for them. The main reason, really, I suppose, is benefit sanctions. That tends to be something which we're seeing a rise in. The general perception is that everybody that uses a food bank is either jobless and doesn't necessarily want to work. Maybe they've got some sort of alcohol issues and that kind of thing. And whilst there is a proportion of that, obviously, our food bank, there are lots of people who are working or people who are retired who are just finding it very, very hard to manage.
There are a number of ways to support people in poverty this Christmas.
We personally really like it if people come along and actually bring us things on a Monday if they can, because then we can make sure it goes out. So it's awareness. And through that we've had lots of emails from private individuals who've wanted to donate to us. So yeah, I mean we do prefer goods rather than money, but money is obviously helpful as well. But it is a year-round thing. We're here every Monday except for bank holidays because we don't get a delivery those days, and then when we don't get deliveries we have to give out extra the week before. So it is a year-round thing that's going on here, and we need the support all year round.
He's moving his breaking balance, moving in, leg in, cross and...
Well, my name is Ray Twitchin. I've been doing judo since 1957. I was one of the first that brought judo into schools in the 70s, and it remained my occupation until the late 80s, really.
After gaining his third Dan black belt, Ray moved from London down to East Sussex, where he began training judo and jiu-jitsu at the Landport Community Centre in Lewes. I came along to see him training the Little Dragons, a group of 4 to 7-year-olds who are already learning the judo techniques. I talked with Ray about how he first discovered judo.
My father took me to a boxing club, which was an absolute disaster. I hated boxing. I didn't want to box, but he was a boxer, or he had boxed in his time, and he wanted me to box. And walking out, I see these 3 people rolling about on a mat in pyjamas, which I thought. And following week, I went down there and practiced with them. Unfortunately, it closed within about 6 weeks because of lack of interest. And then I went to the hut, West Drayton Road, and that's when I met Abe Sensei, who was, I thought, all judo clubs had Japanese instructors because he was the second instructor I'd seen. And from then, I went under his wing, and I was practicing 5 nights a week, and Sunday mornings, Sunday afternoons, and it became part of my life, really.
Ray teaches many classes here, including other martial arts such as Kabudo, and also self-defense classes. For this week's class, Ray had a helping hand from 2 fellow judo practitioners. I had a chance to chat with Jonathan about why people look to begin practicing judo.
I actually started because I was the kind of guy that would be in a pub somewhere, and if there was a fight going on, people wanted to punch me, and I couldn't really work out why that was, so I thought I needed to learn something that would help me defend myself. And what I found was that once I'd learned how to defend myself, those things actually never happened again. Perhaps you have a different body language after learning something like this, and tend to avoid that kind of problem almost unconsciously. It is the gentle art, it's what it means. Ray is somebody that really focuses on technique. Whether you're young or whether you're my age, it's something that you can get a lot from. I feel better in myself. It's a great de-stressor. I have a stressful job, so coming down and doing this, I can only think about judo or jiu-jitsu at that point, and that leaves my life to be much more stress-free than otherwise. So I would say engage in it. It's something that can really help you in all sorts of other areas of your life.
White Hart, hi. Can I place an order to take out? The address? Lewes Jail. The name? Jagger. Mick Jagger. Yes, the Mick Jagger, singer and man about town. Jagger was shooting to fame in the 60s. He was a rebel, cocking a snook at the establishment, and encouraging kids to do likewise. At the same time, he was secretly partying with the Queen's sister, Princess Margaret. It was almost inevitable that he should run foul of the people he was defying. He was sentenced to 3 months on drugs charges and sent to Lewes Jail in 1967. He spent just 1 night of his sentence there and cheekily ordered this meal. From your viewpoint, a young person, what would you think a takeout would have included in the 1960s?
Oh, well, bread and butter pudding. There we go. I don't really know. Probably something with potatoes, I'd say. A lot of veg and some meat, maybe.
Fairly stodgy.
Yeah, possibly. Quite hearty food, I can imagine, especially from this place.
But Jagger remains one of the top celebrities to have camped there for the night. The prison opened in 1853, with celebrities of a kind as its first inmates. 300 Russian grenadiers were held there, prisoners from the Crimea War. They were largely unheralded, while other Russian prisoners who were held in the old naval prison became legends. The leader of the 1916 Irish Easter uprising in Dublin, Eamon de Valera, languished behind its bars, later to become Irish president. There were real villains as well. George Haigh, the acid bathtub murderer, waited for his execution there in 1949. He killed 6 people and dissolved their bodies in an acid bath. He was found guilty in 9 minutes in Lewes Crown Court. John Williams, who shot dead a police inspector in Eastbourne, was a headline case in 1912. And the ghost of a Victorian prisoner still reportedly roams the corridors. The Kray twins, notorious gangland killers of the 60s, were held here. Defiant to the end, they ran a business from behind bars, selling security services to film stars. Frank Sinatra was among their celebrity clients. So the severe Victorian edifice has held more secrets than enough. But the biggest secret of all is Mick Jagger's takeout order. Lucy Hunter and I have turned the hotel upside down, and we can't find it.
I'm here at the Keep in Farmer, one of the great hidden gems of East Sussex, with films, maps and documents dating back to 1101. This must be one of the best record offices in the country now.
I would say that this is now the most up-to-date, state-of-the-art county record office in the UK. There'll be another one probably along, but for the time being, we're it. The main effect of building this building has been to alert people that it exists and that we are open for business and that we're a very, very good place to store their precious archives. And that's been the most marked difference. The number of people wanting to give or deposit documents here has gone up hugely because as the fame of the building and its facilities has spread.
Here's a fascinating map of Lewes in 1799. Of course, the original is here in the Keep, but they've also got a digital version we can now examine. Here's the jail, spelt Gaol in those days, the old military jail. A theatre still, interestingly, at St John's Street, North Street and East Street. No Albion Street in those days. There's a very big mansion which was demolished to make way for Albion Street, which was built in 1819. So the Quakers' Meeting House, of course, still in situ, along what was called Eastgate Lane. The All Saints Church, of course, still very much there and in regular use. And not much more. Here's a fascinating map of railways in East Sussex. Not simply those which were built, some of which, of course, have closed subsequently, but also those which were planned but never built. Here's one, for example, coming down from Lewes through Kingston along to Brighton. There's another one here from Lewes down through Rodmell with a very sharp right-hand bend and then joining the coast effectively and coming along to Brighton in that direction. And here's one which might have been useful, a railway from Newhaven along through Peacehaven and into Brighton that way.
Open sesame.
Open sesame.
So it's all very high-tech and the shelving is on rolling stacks, so instead of having 10 shelves and 9 corridors, you can have 19 shelves in one corridor, and you can open up the corridor wherever you want it to be. So that's very, very space intensive.
So you get a lot of donations, but you also have to buy some material.
Yeah, occasionally we have to buy things, and with the advent of eBay, there's a huge amount of archival material coming up for sale that way. And we wouldn't be able to do this without the Friends of the Keep Archives, which is our supporters club, if you like. It's a membership organisation, and they arrange trips to houses, usually houses where deposited archive collections have come from, which very often aren't open to the public. But they also, crucially, give us money to buy things. So whenever we buy a document, it comes at no cost to the council taxpayer, because it's all funded by grants.
If your great-grandmother appeared to you in the middle of the night in a dream, telling you what to do with your life, how would you react? Well, healer, hugger and massage therapist Magnus Agugu took his great-grandmother at her word.
6'7" Magnus is often to be seen in the precinct in Lewes
offering free hugs and tasters of his African Rhythms massage. I'm here at Magnus's Valence Road treatment rooms to find out what he does, why he does it, and how he helps Louisians unwind.
So, 12 years ago,
Yeah.
it was my great-grandmother, Eribu, came to me in my sleep and said, Magnus, be a masseur. Now, the journey that led me there was that I just got married, I left London to move to Kent, the countryside. My wife and I, we rented the top floor flat of a mansion on a 40-acre estate with an outdoor swimming pool and tennis courts and herb garden in the woods.
Wow.
And I had this new life where it's all going according to plan. I thought, oh, this is really good. I had a little business, I had a network marketing business, and I made £10,000 in a few weeks. And I thought, oh yes, I'm going to be rich. And it was all going fine until the network, the company broke down. The business broke down. Had no money for 3 months. So I came home and I was just desperate. I was lost, completely desperate and lost. And I said to Kath, I said, tonight I need to sleep in a spare room because I need to talk to God. Fell asleep, and at 2:30 in the morning, I heard that voice, and the voice said, like this, be a masseur. Now, at that point, even though I have had conversations about healing my family for a long time, since I was a kid, at that time, at 2:30 in the morning, that never came to me as a good idea. Actually, it came to me as a very bad idea. And I said, God, like, how come I've just got married? I can't be touching women and stuff. I can't do that. So what happened was that when that happened, and then I went outside, I saw Kath, and she said, what did God say? And I said, masseur. And I said it like that. I wasn't confident. And then she looked at me, she goes, Magnus, I told you that 5 years ago. I said, the first time you ever touched me, I told you got this incredible touch. I thought, really? And then she goes, oh, well, what? So that's when I rang my mum, and my mum said, yes, Magnus, you fool. It's time to do your work. And I thought, oh, okay, well, my wife says so, my mum says so, my great-granny from the grave says so hey.
Today, Tony Smith, head teacher at Lewis Priory, has agreed to have a taster session with Magnus. So we're on our way to school to meet Mr. Smith.
Ah, thank you.
Welcome. You come in.
Close your eyes. Just give me 3 long, slow, deep breaths through your nose.
So I'll leave Magnus to work his magic, and who knows what's in store for the kids at school this week, because as Magnus says in his strapline, one massage, many possibilities.
The Battle of Lewes in 1264 was an event of great historic importance. The defeat of King Henry III by Simon de Montfort led to the creation of the first representative parliament. 752 years on, a magnificent tapestry has been woven to mark this event. This took 3 years to make, and it was a full 3 metres wide. That's a lot of weaving. Jan Newbury is one of many who were involved in this project.
The Battle of Lewes embroidery took about 3.5 years to stitch. More than 60 people were involved. They were recruited from the Lewes area, but further afield as well. They all had to undertake a 2-hour workshop to prove that they could do the very fine work involved. We started work in the summer in Anne of Cleves, and when the weather got cold, we moved to Barbican House and worked in the temporary gallery there. The original design was done by Tom Walker. He learnt from us and we learnt from him, and it was a real pleasure. He's a lovely man and a good bit of work for all of us.
This week's buskers are a local outfit called The Wild. What are you going to do for us?
We're going to be playing our original song, Steel and Snow.
Great.
I am steel and snow, jet black coal, I'm a hunter and you, I know I am steel and snow, jet black coal, I live the life that I know why the darkness knows. This salvation. I'm repent. I'm the power that cannot be bent. I'm the darkness and I'm the light. I am the driving force behind your fight. I am steel and stone, jet black roll. I am the hunter and the pure white. No, I am steel and stone, jet black roll. I live the life, but I know why the darkness stole. Jet black roll. I am the hunter and the pure white. No, I am steel and stone, jet black roll. I live the life, but I know why the darkness. I am the water, I am the wind, I am the fire, I am the king. I am the watcher, I am the flame. I am the wild that cannot be tamed. I am steel and strong, jet black roll. I am the hunter and the pure white. No, I am steel and strong, jet black roll. I live the life, but I know why the darkness goes.
I think they're worth £1, don't you?
Oh, great.